Webcor Consolette AM radio phonograph. Not sure what year this is from. Need to do some research. This came out of a garage full of stuff that was going to the trash. It has the civil defense symbols on it. The tuning string actually looks like it's good. Bass response, treble response, audio level, and then radio phone, spelled F-O-N-O. AM kilocycles. Webcor does 16, 33, 45, 78. It feels like it's got a flip over stylus here. Can't really tell. Sounds like that'll need some help. We're just going to resurrect it, try and get it to work. I have a friend who's going to adopt this thing, so at least I don't have to worry about that on this. Webcor Prelude. Coronet. Guess that makes it sound sophisticated. Cabinet on the inside is in excellent condition. There's a lot of sawdust because it was had a radial arm saw inserted into the back of it. The top is in fair condition. I think some Restore finish would clean this up, get these scratches out, but it's almost in really good shape. It is a model MC. It's like 1894. It's a 6x9 and two, those 3.5, 4-inch. Ooh, I see a selenium rectifier. So where would we date this? In the 60s somewhere? I'm going to try and find a schematic on it. This is definitely a model MC 1894. Looking in the Sam's catalog, because of course it didn't show up online, we have MC 1893 and 1895. But those two are the same, so maybe I should pull a 473-18. It skips right over it. Okay, well this looks like it. So let's see. Let's see if we could get a year. Something says 58 to me, but 1960. Okay, so we're looking at a 1960 Webcor Consolette. So I don't think there's much to this thing. It's just a basic All-American 5 with a little extra amplifier for the tone controls. Let me look at this for a minute. Well, this might be different because this has FM. And I don't believe ours has FM. Okay, well this is completely worthless. This is a totally different unit altogether. Totally different. Look at this amp this thing has. 212 AX7s, actually, yeah, and push-pull 12 AB5 output. This unit is totally different. Amazing. That model number 93 and 95 are this, and 94 is AM only. So I was thinking, should I just do a dim bulb? Should I do this Variac thing? Okay, radio. Okay, well, that's interesting. So I guess we turn it all the way to radio, audio level. So yeah, dim bulb, or should we do this thing that I found in that garage also? Well, we'll do both. So here we go. Ooh, the light is on. Here we go. And this is stupid. This meter should be 0 to 2 amps for everything I do. 40 volts, 60 volts, 90 volts. And the meter is sticky. Crap. But no current draw. Oh. Well, light bulb didn't even come on. That's too bad. And see that, like I say, this current meter okay, well, it needs a filter capacitor. So let's see, how do you turn this? Oh. This needs some work. Well, this is pretty interesting. It has a tuner assembly, which is simply a converter in IF, single IF, and then over here it probably has a solid state diode detector, like a 1N60 instead of the 12 AV7. And then over here it has a push-pull 35C5 pair. And what is that, a 12AX7? Yes, and a 12AX7. So right there you can see they're getting the same thing out of 5 tubes that an AA5 would have, but they're using a selenium power rectifier and probably a solid state diode for the detector. Here's a filter capacitor here. Looks like it's a 4-section. I'm tempted just to cut it out right now. Cut it out right in place rather than try and remove this entire chassis out of the set. This has a bunch of those white paper bombs in it, And I'm not going to change those. I'm going to let the guy who's adopting it do that. I just like to resurrect it. We could listen to LA Oldies. I'll also let him resurrect the gramophone. Wow, the motor's frozen solid in this gramophone. Jeez. Needs to be completely disassembled, cleaned, lubricated. Needs a radio, TV, phononet special servicing. Oh, the sheer brilliance of this. Yellow is 20 microfarads, 150 volts. And then the rest of the colors are underneath this metal strap. Some award-winning. Okay, yellow is 20, red is 40, and blue is 60. 20, 40, 60. And black is common. So we could just put, to simplify it, we could just put 347s or 368s in here at 150. It's not highly critical by any means. Okay, let's see what we got here. I was saving these in case I needed to rebuild some capacitors. How about this one? 80, 30, 50. That seems pretty clinky Daimler. How about this one? 80, 30, 50. $900 at 200. Another 80, 30, 50. Geez, these must be brand new. So what I've done is I've just clipped. I'm not cutting this out, and the reason why is the younger person, I'll just call him the kid I'm giving this to, is very interested in vintage electronics, and I fully support young people getting into this and trial and error. And even if they end up destroying it, maybe they learn something from it. That's how we all did it. And I know a lot of the vintage repair collector crew are against that because they don't want to risk something like this being damaged. But you know what? If someone grows up and learns something from it, that's worth so much. So I'm going to just not modify it at all. What I'm going to do is I just clipped clip leads on to the three plus the black, and I'll just clip them onto the corresponding values onto here. So D is 80, square is 30, triangle is 50, and then the can is ground. Now this is from 79. This might need to be reformed. This might, but we'll use the bulb on this. And the NSA already has such a thorough catalog of recapping videos, especially of AA5 radios in their data center, that they won't have any trouble, the ultra elite won't have any trouble figuring out how to recap something once they've exterminated all of us earth-consuming, resource-consuming peasants. Something nice to think about. One of those pleasant. Well, that capacitor does seem to be reforming. No? So what's our load? Okay, the motor was on. Let's see what we got now.
You know.
Sale un cuento, ¿no?
Es cierto. En Israel estableció como un
Firma de Nora.
Okay, there's LA Oldies.
Why can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, why can't you be true?
It does sound good. I'll give it that. Okay. It's just fading out on its own. Oh, hey, I know what I did. Pulled a Jason JJ Cruz. I'll admit I don't know that much about cartridges and stuff, but let's see. So, yeah, there's plenty of gain here. And this cartridge is just stone dead. Sure, you could probably, because this uses a 12AX7 preamp, you could probably put the Crosley cartridge in here, the BAMF or whatever it is, and it would work just fine. It would not take much to restore this gramophone, because although the motor is locked rotor right now, I don't want to burn it out. I don't know if you can burn a shaded pole. But this right here is the power. That's the power switch. That's why when I lifted the tone arm up, the light bulb, the load, electrical load went up and the light bulb came on, and that's why the volume dropped down. But as far as a radio goes, this thing sounds excellent. I mean, its performance is nothing more than just a standard All-American 5, 6BE6, 6BA6 radio, but the amp and the speakers and the audio output transformer make it, you know, sound really robust.
You're gone too far, 'cause you know it don't matter anyway. You can rely on the old money, you can rely on the old money. It's a bitch girl, but it don't.
When was the last time you heard Hall & Oates on AM radio? Or how about this song, Tears for Fears?
라이브 뮤직과 스윙 댄스 등 파크 전
HD stereo at KKGO HD2 Los Angeles and streaming worldwide at laoldies.com. Christmas program.
I was walking down a one-way street, just looking for someone.
Sounds great. This thing sounds great. Some of these videos are fairly complex and good. This one has not been so far. Totally simple. Just replacing or paralleling in a filter capacitors, you know.
Great oldies are back on LA Oldies. chaser.
Rod Stewart. Geez, this song doesn't tell the truth. I don't know what does.
What he never knew, now man's reign is through. Hey, if man is still alive,
Here's a real classic. It's easy to take for granted that AM can sound this good. In the interest of making the video a little bit more interesting and complex, let's dig into this and see if we can at least get this thing to run and see what condition the idler is and the little rollers and all that stuff. I know the cartridge is bad and the motor's frozen. We can try and address at least the motor. It doesn't look... I mean, it rolls out, so it's not a dry grease situation, at least not on the top. So I'll start pulling it apart and let's see what we get. I may have spoken a little bit too soon on the dry grease thing, but yeah, let's see what we got here. Is this thing is, well, it's not. Huh. It's not too bad. I wonder about the condition of these. It does not look like it has been parked with it touching, so it might not be a problem, but that one, they're kind of hard. They're really hard, actually. They're like rock hard. So that might be an issue, but it doesn't look like they engage until you turn it on, and hopefully it was left in the off position like that. I am no phonograph, gramophone, record player buff, so don't hold my stupidity against me. And yeah, the motor is completely locked rotor. It's not totally locked, but it's pretty locked. Look at how dirty it is. Isn't that? So let me pull the motor apart. That shouldn't be that big of a deal. I think I could just get it from underneath. I don't know if I can access this from the bottom, but I'm going to try. So I'm going to, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark everything here, because you can put these things back together wrong and then they rotate backwards. That's how you reverse fans. Like when these things, motors are used in refrigeration a lot, you want to reverse the fan direction. That's, you flip the core over. And I know this is not the optimal way to do this, but I'll get this. This one is so dried grease it don't even want to come off the shaft. I hope it doesn't have some type of lock washer or something in there. There are all kinds of little tricks to these things that the phonograph guys know that I really don't. And I don't want to damage this. Let me play with it for a minute. Okay, there really seems to be some hard, I don't know if it's got one of those slip washer, lock washers in here, or what's going on with it, but it really appears to have, I just hope I can get it back together without taking it all the way out of the, taking the whole motor assembly apart, because the guy I'm giving it to, he's going to fully restore it, and I don't want to spoil that for him. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a syringe, and I can't even find the right oil. I'm going to just drip a little bit of this in there. I think this is probably thin enough, and this is almost pure detergent, which the phono purists will love me using detergent oil in this, but at least it'll get it all nice and cleaned up when he goes to do it properly. All right, well, here's what we're gonna do, and I am not gonna put a lot of this in here, but this ATF will definitely, hopefully, break up the tightness of this motor. Okay, then I'm gonna do this. Same thing up here. While we listen to the moron rev his motorcycle to display his impotence. Okay, well that looks promising. It's rototubulating. Still a little gummy, I think. A little rubber renew, I think, would help here. For some reason we got a hum and it's not a filter hum. Yeah, this whole thing needs to be taken apart and re-greased. Let's just see if we could get it to work just for the sole purpose of seeing it work again. Okay, well I didn't want to get that far into this thing, but it looks like I have no choice. Okay, I took it all apart and lubed it. I think it's good and free now. Cleaned all the grease out of it and lubed it. These are still in decent condition. These are not bad. Ooh, drove my Jason JJ Cruiser to the levee, but the levee was dry. Okay, the motor seems very happy now. The roller is not happy though. Oh, and I'm gonna have to find it. I lost, of course, one of the C-clips popped off. You know, that's just mandatory whenever you work on this stuff. And I have kits of those around here somewhere. I just need to go find it. Okay, VCR E-clip and washer kit. I've used one of those right there. Sounds magnificent. That's that dry roller. Making this. Yeah, that grinding is that dry roller, because if I run it and then I put my hand under it and push that out of the way, So it's definitely baked. This right here is petrified. This piece of rubber right here is just petrified. And that's kind of a special roller, and so is this one. I mean, rubber renew, nothing's going to soften those up. They're just petrified, baked. The speed actually is pretty damn close. Even on 45, it's decent. Look at 16. Look at how slow that is. Now this cartridge is dead as they get. Well, maybe not. I don't know, it's pretty dead. I found these, although I don't believe that this could be magnetic. So that's not going to work. This might be ceramic. I don't know, I'll plug it in. This actually looks like it might be designed to fit in there, and I plugged it in, and this has a little output, a little. Oh, the wires aren't long enough, but it looks like physically it would fit, and it does have some output. So let me get my Michael Jackson mixtape. So here's what we got. We'll do a little RuPaul Supermodel remixes, and with the whole Iran thing, since we got to keep up on our current events, we'll have to roll some of this out. And to go along with that, we got the full color 8.5 by 11 Lee Greenwood glossy. Some of you will know the significance of Lee Greenwood in times like this. So let's see. So let's see, what should we do here? Oh, Stars and Stripes Forever. Can't go wrong with that. See, that's on side 1. Okay, here we go. Make sure we get this on display. Okay, we got our Lee Greenwood. We got our quarter because the weight needs to be adjusted. We got our air blower machine across the street. Don't want to piss